Well, hi, everybody. Welcome. Tonight's program is, as you probably know, featuring one of our some of our friends in Colorado. And just to remind everybody, there are now 5 groups in the United States that are making 0% loans as part of the slow money movement. 4 of them are in Colorado and 1 in Charlottesville. And I was just reviewing the numbers the other day. We're approaching $2 million under management in all 5 of these groups. The group we're going to hear from tonight is one of the smaller groups. It's in Salida, Colorado, a rural part of Colorado. And we're joined tonight by PJ Bergin, who is the founder of SOIL Sangre de Cristo. And I think you all maybe remember by now, SOIL stands for Slow Opportunities for Investing Locally. And so PJ will say a few minutes about how she came to start the group and anything she wants to as kind of a place setting. And then she's going to introduce Tiffany Collette of Rocky Mountain Garlic. And then, as I think most of you know at this point, after their presentation, we'll have plenty of time for a nice conversation. So PJ, take it away. And thanks for joining us tonight.
Hello, Woody. Thank you very much for inviting us. And hello to everyone else that's out there. Yes, I am PJ Bergin. I founded SOIL Sangre de Cristo 2 years ago, this past month, 2 years ago, March of 2020. I'm sure you may all remember what happened about that time with all of us. I had all these great dreams of bringing people together, introducing our farmers, having lots of in-person events to get SOIL Sangre de Cristo off the ground. And then Woody told me about Zoom that I never knew about, but of course you can imagine I learned very quickly. And so since the founding in March of 2020, we have over 70 members. Our region is what we like to define as South Central Colorado. So if you know anything from Colorado, it's very much in the center. Salida is 2 hours west of Colorado Springs, almost straight west. And so it's that whole area, the San Luis Valley, Alamosa, and pretty much down to the state line. It includes a lot of small towns, a lot of big open areas. A lot of it's under ranching or farming, but of course not as much as it used to be. And that's the reason that I was looking for some sort of a model to help and support our farmers and ranchers, and was introduced to Woody, and you can see where we are today. After 2 years and over 70 members, we have loaned out $41,000 in no interest loans. And this again is all thanks to the community members who have contributed. And they are the ones that vote on the loan awards that are submitted. At least right now, we're doing it once a year. And as the loans get paid back, the money goes right back into this revolving loan fund. And we prepare to get it, to have it go out to another farmer. So once someone contributes, their money just keeps working and working. And it is a yearly membership. So we will continue to build the loan fund. And that's the story of what SOIL is getting community members involved, seeing the advantage of investing in their own community and what the returns can be aside from just dollars back, but how it can improve the community and certainly improve the local food options, and how we can help these farmers learning about regenerative agriculture and providing more of what we need here for fresh vegetables. And so with that said, I will pass this on to Tiffany Collette. I'm going to do a share screen now. Okay, so this is our SOIL Sangre de Cristo logo, and that's me, and contact information. Now, let me see here. How come I'm not getting it moved down? Let me try this. No. How come I'm not getting? I need the page down. Oh, there it goes. Okay. And so I'm introducing Tiffany Collette of the Rocky Mountain Garlic. She is one of our farmer members, has received 2 loans. and is also on our board of directors. Tiffany, thanks so much for being with us tonight.
Sure. Thank you, PJ. Thanks for the introduction. Thank you all for being here. Thank you, Woody, for starting all of this momentum years ago. Let's see. My name is Tiffany Collette, and my husband Mike and I run Rocky Mountain Garlic, located in Salida. This is just a little overview of our presentation this evening. Garlic is our first love and our primary crop. We'll go over some of our different guiding values and philosophies and tell you about what we've got next. We are located at about 7,000 feet elevation in a high alpine desert, so it's definitely a difficult growing season, short season. We're located on 2 acres, and we have a little over 1 acre in production this season. It's close to a half an acre of garlic, and then the other half acre is mixed vegetables, primarily root crops. They do the best for us here: carrots and beets and turnips and radish and all that fun stuff. We did become certified naturally grown, which is the grassroots alternative to the certified organic program. We were attracted to this program to reassure our customers that we are following organic standards, but we didn't want to necessarily sign up for the kind of government-run USDA certified organic. One of my early intros into more healthy eating was Anne Wigmore. She's an older author, and I love this quote: "The food you eat can either be the safest and most powerful form of medicine or the slowest form of poison." I think sometimes it is hard to see the trickle-down effects from some of the processed foods and things that we eat, but a fresh food diet is definitely one of our guiding lights. It's definitely important for us to know our customers. We love getting to serve our local community here in Salida with our garlic and then all of the other vegetables we've added over the last few years. We think that connection is just really neat and important, especially as farms continue to grow and get larger and usually specialize in 1 or 2 crops. To be a small, diversified farm, we love getting to know our customers. Being able to cut out the middlemen of the grocery stores and whatnot has been fun and exciting to see people get their stock of Brussels sprouts with all the Brussels sprouts still loaded on there, and the whole stem of garlic instead of just the bulb. We are definitely committed to regenerative agriculture. We know that living healthy soils grow healthy foods. So we use no herbicides or pesticides. We use organic seed whenever possible. And we save our own garlic seed from season to season. And we're excited to continue the agricultural heritage that is in our county here. Rocky Mountain Garlic started as a part-time venture for Mike and I. We were both working full-time, and we're just really excited by the health benefits of garlic, and we love its growing season because you plant in October and then it overwinters in the ground and comes up real early March here in this region. And then we harvest the end of July or early August. So I have been full-time on the farm since July of 2020. I guess I'm the head farmer, dealing with all of the harvesting, sowing, washing, packing, different stuff like that. Mike is definitely an integral part of the farm. He declined to be here on Zoom with me tonight. It's not his favorite way to get to know you all, but he is part-time on the farm currently, and is a great energy source for new projects and infrastructure building. And he loves going to the farmers market and seeing our customers there and setting up displays, and also a vital help in the field. This slide shows just a nice kind of timeline of the last few years for us. We are so new at this still. We started with about 800 garlic plants going in the ground in 2016. And then we just saved all of that and replanted for 2017. We started attending the Salida Farmers Market in 2018 after we harvested in July. And then the timing just seemed right in 2020 for me to transition from my job as a medical assistant to doing the farm full-time, adding all of those different vegetables along with the garlic. We have really just enjoyed our local market. We also have a farm stand that we have at the house, and a small CSA program. So we have 3 different ways that we sell our product. This slide is a fun picture, an aerial drone shot of the farm that my brother-in-law took for me. Thank you, Patrick. We have the, on the right-hand side, you can see the greenhouse, the red roof there, our new passive solar greenhouse that we finished last season. And then all of the rows out in the field. That black square is the silage tarp that we use to help keep the weeds down in that area. And then when we roll that off, it's ready for planting and ready to go. Let's see. A little bit of our timeline there. Receiving our first loan from SOIL Sangre de Cristo in the fall of 2020. We got a $5,000 loan, which was really helpful for us to purchase a walk-in cooler. Once you harvest all of the mixed vegetable that we've added, it's so important once it's washed to get it chilled, just so that it maintains that freshness and all the good nutrients and everything in it. So we kind of we bought those used pieces of a cooler and rebuilt that. And that has definitely been a game changer for us since then. In January of 2021, we ran a Kickstarter campaign to help us fund finishing our passive solar greenhouse, which was a successful campaign, and we raised $20,000 from our community and friends and family. And that has been just really exciting. It's such an amazing space to grow a lot of the heat-loving crops that don't love to be outside here in the summertime. The peppers and tomatoes, cucumbers, some sweet potatoes. So that has been a wonderful addition to the farm. Last spring, we also finished our roadside farm stand and had a successful first season of that. Because while we do love going to the farmers market, that's only available on Saturday mornings. So we were really inspired to offer something for our community members Monday through Friday to be able to access fresh local vegetables. So we work with another farm or two in the area so that we've got nice full offering there at the farm stand. And just a few months ago, we applied for and were awarded our second SOIL Sangre de Cristo loan of $2,500, which help us to purchase a tilter and then part of our new caterpillar tunnel. The tilter is a really neat little tool that's ran by a battery powered drill, and it just churns up or lightly tills the top 2 inches or so of the soil. And this tool is going to be really helpful for us in turning our mixed vegetable beds faster, easier, save our bodies a little bit, and just do a better job of giving us a nice seed bed to start those new crops in when the old crops are done. We are growing our CSA program this season from 10 members last year up to 30 members this year. That's a photo of me in front of our newly constructed walk-in cooler, which was just a huge value, being able to get the used panels and rebuild this little 8 by 8 foot cooler. The new units are just much more expensive. We also used some of that first loan from the SOIL to upgrade our washing station, because garlic doesn't take a whole lot of washing to get it ready for market. So adding the carrots and everything else, we needed to up our game there. This is a picture on the right of our passive solar greenhouse, a really innovative design by Smart Greenhouses LLC, located nearby here in Westcliff, Colorado. It has vents along that top section and then vents along the bottom and side sections that are operated by just solar passive heat. So when the building on the inside warms up, there's beeswax and springs inside of some cylinders, and that expands and opens the vents. And it creates a wonderful in at the bottom, out at the top air movement. And then the other side there is our little farm stand. We're located conveniently on the same road as a local meat market. So we get good traffic coming by the house, and the farm stand did really well last year. We set it up every morning and close everything up at nighttime. It's been great, and I think we'll do even better with it this season. Oh, there's a picture with me with the new tilter, and this is inside of our greenhouse. You can see the battery on the little tilter tool there, and it just does minimal disturbance to those top few inches to get the seed bed ready for the new seed. You can see the wall of barrels behind me, which is the battery for our greenhouse. They're filled with water and stacked 3 tall. So there's 51 barrels, and they absorb the heat during the daytime and then kind of slowly release that back into the building at nighttime. And then our other big expansion this year is the 16 by 100 foot caterpillar tunnel, which is just kind of a smaller sized hoop house that you see all over the place. Very traditional. There's our new caterpillar tunnel. We just pulled the plastic over that last week, so that was really exciting. We planted it with a lot of vegetables today and ran the irrigation in there. So that should be pumping out the vegetables here shortly for us. And that was partially funded by our new loan from SOIL. This is definitely a challenging climate to grow vegetables in. We're more of a ranching community as far as farming goes. We do have very sandy soil, which we have added a lot of amendments or compost and composted goat manure and different things to increase the organic matter. We use a lot of different cover crops. We use daikon radish and vetch and fava beans, buckwheat, different things to increase soil organic matter and just add diversity into the soil and get it going, get it alive. Water is definitely a challenge here. We get about 13 inches of rain annually, and the majority of that comes in the wintertime as snow, which is great for the garlic since it's out there all winter. But the rest of the vegetables definitely need some supplemental irrigation. And it is a short season. We've had our last frost of the year as late as July 1st. And then our first frost of the season as early as August 15th. Here's a picture of some of our rows. Our 2-acre farm was a horse pasture before we started working it and improving the soil. We like to use potatoes kind of as a cover crop, cash crop as well. They do a great job of kind of breaking up the ground and keeping living roots in it and getting it ready for the garlic. We incorporate a lot of mulch in our system to help hold the moisture in and cool the soil. And then it gets, as it breaks down, it also will increase our soil organic matter. There's a list of our cover crops. Which is definitely an important part of our soil nutrient program, and just keeping the kind of fragile sandy soils covered and with living roots in them. As everyone from this region would be aware, water is definitely a scarce source, and the snow melt and runoff is the primary source of the water, which we use some surface water that we get from our neighbor who has a alfalfa pasture that grows next door to us. And then in the winter, if it's real dry, we might need to do some winter watering. And to water our passive solar greenhouse, we use a well. Can definitely be a short season here in the high country at about 7,000 feet. All of the root crops have done a really nice job here, and we love them. The greenhouse is really churning out the hot season things, and we're looking forward to its second season in production this year. It did wonderfully with greens all winter long. We did lettuce and arugula and spinach, kale. The greenhouse is also just a perfect space to start plants that we will then transplant into the field, which one of our other favorite crops to grow is onions. And I don't know if you've ever transplanted more than a few onions, but it's like transplanting tiny blades of grass, and it's pretty awful after a few. So we got this really neat tool, the paper pot transplanter, from another farm that was going out of business. and it is really neat. You sew everything in paper chains, and then when it's ready to go out in the field, the little starts are linked together. So you get the first one kind of staked in and started, and then you pull this machine and it just boop, 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 gets everything into the ground. And it has saved so much wear and tear on our bodies for the smaller transplants that we're getting in there. I heard another farmer on a Beetcoin dialogue a while ago say, if you're doing the same thing as last season, then you're behind the ball. And I agree. It feels like every season is new and fresh, and you've got to constantly be looking for new innovations or different things that your customers want and are looking for. So we are always ready to change things up and reevaluate and see how it's going. We are very passionate about improving our soil so that it can hold on to that water, such a valuable resource, and to grow really healthy, nutrient-dense food. We are growing the CSA and the farm stand this season. So excited for that. We love our local farmers market. And we are really excited about the SOIL Sangre de Cristo model, and that these are popping up across the state and hopefully in the future across the nation. It's such a radical idea to invest your money and your time into your community like this. And I think it's a really neat model for moving forward. So we will definitely continue to support SOIL Sangre de Cristo and to advocate for more members and more farmers to be joining that. I'm sure I could go on and on, but we will kind of wrap it up here, I guess, and just say thanks again to Woody for hosting and for all of you for joining us tonight. I'm ready to field any questions you might have.
Whoops, I was on mute. This is Woody. PJ, you can stop sharing your screen now.
Thank you, Woody. You can tell this is not my forte.
Oh, that's quite all right. Tiffany, thank you so much for the presentation, and of course, even more for all your hard work and beautiful garlic. So I didn't see any questions so far in the chat room. So just remember, you can put questions in the chat room, or you can just chime in right now since it's a modest sized group tonight. I'll just start off with a couple of quick questions. So Tiffany, you didn't say anything about garlic. You said something about how passionate you are about garlic, but you didn't really say much about it. So I'd like to prompt you to say a little more about your love of garlic, but also talk about varieties. Just talk a little bit about garlic, health, varieties, etc.
Sure, that sounds great. Mike and I worked as raft guides in the summer and ski bums in the winter for a number of years. So wherever we were rafting, we would volunteer and work for different vegetable farms. And one season, we ended up helping harvest about a half acre of garlic in Ohio, and just fell in love with the crop. The fresh garlic was so unlike grocery store garlic, and just the juiciness of it and how long it lasted. And it has a number of health benefits. It cleanses your blood, can lower cholesterol, it helps with heart disease. So just incorporating that fresh garlic into our lives was a game changer, I would say. We spent some time after that in California, where we became members for a season to another farm's CSA, which really opened our eyes to just the bounty of fresh local produce that you can get without having to grow it yourself, and really enjoyed getting to be on the consumer end, I guess, of a CSA program. So that was one of our reasons for wanting to provide that for the community here too. We grow, 13 different varieties of garlic. There's two main subcategories. There's hardneck and softneck garlics. The hardneck garlic is not very usual to find in the supermarket, and it grows best in cold climates. It has fewer cloves, but they're much larger. So you'll have between 4 and 8 cloves in a head. It's really easy to peel, and it stores for 6 to 10 months, but most of it's closer to the 6-month time frame. And then the other subcategory, softneck garlic, is more like what you would find at the grocery store, and it can be grown in warmer climates, but its shelf life is incredible and will store for up to 12 months. So we like to grow both varieties. Oh, and it has lots of smaller cloves of garlic that are a little harder to peel.
And do you want to say anything about like your favorite variety, or is that like too closely held secret?
No, sure. We do have a favorite variety. Mike and I will definitely eat it raw, just munching on a little clove.
Too much information, too much information.
And it's just so spicy and refreshing. So Bogatar or Kabar are probably two of our favorites. They're in the purple stripe category. So they're also just really beautiful garlics. They have really neat coloring to the bulb. And one of our other favorite specialty pieces of the garlic is, we all know the bulb, which grows underground, and then the plant gets tall and starts to form a flower on the top, and it's called a garlic scape. And we snap those scapes off in June so that the plant will focus its energy on producing a nice big bulb. But that scape is similar to a piece of asparagus, but really garlicky and delicious. So we like to grill those, saute those, put them fresh in salads, but they make a really fabulous pesto. So we also make a lot of pesto and sell it as well.
I think you answered that. One of the questions in the chat room now is from Cindy. She asked if you also sell the scapes. So did you just say you sell some of your pesto? Did
Yes.
I hear that? Yeah.
We do. We sell the scapes by the piece or pieces or by the pound. A pound can be a lot for some people, but yes, we love the scapes and think they are just a cool bonus, I guess, to growing the garlic.
All right, great. And before I start calling on everybody, and John, I see your hand up, and we have a few questions in the chat room. So I'll probably do the chat room questions first and then go to John Brown. You made a passing comment about certification at the beginning, and while I'm sure everybody here has some opinions about certification of various kinds, I just thought it might be nice for you to just say a little bit more about, just what was behind your not wanting to participate with USDA organic certification. Whatever you care to share, and that might be interesting for people here.
Sure. I would say number one is the cost. Maybe that's number two. Number one is the paperwork involved. I am a farmer gardener, not a wonderful businesswoman. So keeping records and track of different things like that, I have learned a lot over the last 3 or so years, but record keeping is not my forte. And the certified organic takes a lot of record keeping and a lot of money. I mean, it's an expensive certification to do. And also I'm a little suspicious of government-run programs. So I preferred the certified naturally grown route. I thought it was neat that it's a peer review system. So I have to participate once a year. I go to a different farm and inspect them and go over their records, but it's not nearly as rigorous record keeping as the other. And then once a season, another farmer comes to my farm and inspects what we're doing and all of our paperwork as well.
All right, great. Thank you for clarifying that. All right, let's see. Before I call on you, John, Jillian asked if you'd clarify the water issue. How are you providing sustainable, she has the word sustainable in quotes, water to your crops?
I would say anyone producing vegetables is going to have to use water. Vegetables are up to 80–90% of water. So there's the surface water, which is traditional in this area to use on irrigated land. And that comes from snowmelt, which goes into the river and then into ditch systems and then to the farms. We don't utilize any underground watering, but we do drip irrigation, and combining that with the cover crops and our mulching is, I think, the best we can do to be sustainable with our water use.
All right, thanks for that answer. Hang on one sec, multitasking here. All right, John Brown, you want to weigh in?
Sure. Great to see what you're doing there, PJ. It's exciting. And I'm curious a little bit more about your greenhouse. What's the size of it? And would you say again who built it?
Sure. The company's name is Smart Greenhouses LLC. And the man's name is Cord Paramenter. And it's a design that he has, I would say, made popular. You can find it in a few old books, not that old, from the 70s. But he has really been on a mission to build these buildings around kind of the central Colorado area. The interior space is 18 feet wide by 36 feet long. And then 2 feet of that interior space is taken up by the wall of barrels.
Cool. And you're growing stuff year round in there.
Yes, yeah, we sure are. Greens did really well through the winter. And then we just ripped out all the spinach last week, and we will be planting it with the tomatoes, peppers, and cucumbers here shortly.
Cool. Great. And do you process your garlic much? I had a really wonderful experience doing honey fermented garlic this last year, and I love it. I'm wondering if you're doing any of that sort of thing for immune system boosting and wintertime healthy stuff.
We do for our personal use, but I've ran into a few unusual rules regarding garlic and preserving it in different ways, be it fermenting or putting in oil and different things. So I have not taken the time to figure that out to do for sale yet. I would say this is our first year of reaching kind of our big or maybe maximum scale. So we're hoping to have some extra garlic to play with this season so that we can figure out some of those recipes and do the proper testing for the state to be able to do some of those products. But currently we sell it as the whole bulb, or we dehydrate and dry a lot of it and make garlic powder. Oh, which is a neat, we used to just use the small kind of electric powered dehydrators. But my husband built a solar dehydrator that has been fabulous, and it really increases the volume that we can turn out and the speed that it dehydrates. So that's been a cool addition.
And I can attest to the potency of their garlic powder. Just saying.
Yeah, there's
It's
probably about eight or so bulbs in a 2-ounce jar, and it's 100% garlic powder, whereas most of the stuff you're getting from the grocery store is cut with different things. So it's very potent.
yeah, I don't use garlic powder often, but I got it because I was there and I wanted to take something home that I could travel with and everything. I still have some, but it's very flavorful. So all right, let's see, we got a couple other things here from Laura. Oh, by the way, so we've done a bad job. We don't, please try to remember to say where you're from when you introduce you, when you ask a question. Introduce yourself and say where you're from. Now, I happen to know that John Brown is from Helena, Montana, and so I'll just sort of throw in here that I was on a Zoom call with a bunch of his colleagues in various towns in Montana about 10 days ago, and they're exploring the possibility of starting a soil group in Montana. It was a first conversation, but it seemed very promising. It was a great group of people, so I'm looking forward to following up with them. So, hi, John. Okay, so Laura Madden says the following: for our collaborative of urban farmers in St. Louis, we need cold storage to preserve quality for distribution to food banks, farmers markets, and hopefully community grocery outlets. Do folks here have any experience with that? I'm not sure I totally understand that question, but that's what's in there. Laura, if you're on and you want to sort of expand on the question a little bit to make sure that we're getting it. Obviously, you do have cold storage because you have the walk-in cooler. Anybody want to comment
Hi,
on that?
well, I did see the cold storage that was there, and our question is always, how do you, there's been talk about we can get used, we can get, different variations of it, but we have a large quantity, a lot of farmers that are producing it, and then we have to distribute it. And if you don't have it preserved, we're going to lose quality once we get to the communities and get the food to the folks. So, I mean, I don't know if this is something that Beetcoin considers, with a project like this to try and, get cold storage for our farmers. So my question is really, is there experience with any urban farming initiatives?
Oh, I see. So you were addressing that question more to me than to Tiffany.
Probably, yeah, rather than
quick, easy answer. First of all, you can always contact me directly at woody@slowmoney.org if you want more of an answer than this. But there's no money going directly from me / Beetcoin to any one project. It's going to local groups that make 0% loans. So in other words, we're building a system of community groups that make 0% loans in their communities. So it's not a very, that's a long-term fix. It's not a very satisfactory answer if you want a loan tomorrow in St. Louis and there's no group in St. Louis. But that's what we're working on. We're working over the next decade to replicate exactly what you heard tonight. Whether it's at the scale that they're doing it in SOIL Sangre de Cristo, which is quite a rural area, or whether it's a little bit larger scale, as is the case in Boulder and Charlottesville, where you're talking about $500,000 or $1 million under management and growing, and scores of loans, and the loans are a little bit larger and whatnot. So we're still very early. I don't know if you've been on any of the other calls, but we're still very early in this process. Stay tuned. We're trying to build out the system.
Yeah, this is my first. So
yeah. Oh, okay. So right. So I didn't give any of that other background. Go to the beetcoin.org website and you will see the story of how we are setting out to do all of this. If you have any questions, reach back out to me and I'll be happy to answer them. So thank you for joining us. Okay. And Brian Copham from Boulder asked Tiffany, on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being great, how optimistic are you about the future of farming? Oh, simple question. But then he says, what would increase your enthusiasm? And I don't know that your enthusiasm needs increasing, but go ahead, take it, Tiffany.
Sure. I would say I'm very optimistic. I am shocked at how much the scene has changed. And I would say the 12 to 15 years that I have been more conscious of what I am consuming myself. And as a new farmer, I'm inspired by all of the things happening nationwide and how small farms are blossoming in the urban environment, as well as the rural environment. I am an older, new farmer maybe. I'm 38, so I think we need so many small, young 20-somethings getting into this. And I think they're out there. We need to, like SOIL, be ready to help people. There's so much infrastructure that goes into farming, which I would say definitely held me back for a number of years. Without a walk-in cooler, it doesn't do much good to grow all of these tender vegetables that will just languish in the heat. So you've got to be able to, after you grow them and harvest them and wash them and pack them, then you have to be able to store them. I am very optimistic and I'm very enthusiastic. Yeah, I think there's definitely room for lots of new farmers.
That
Thanks
actually
for your question.
segues nicely to another question from Cindy from Tuckahoe, New York. It's in the chat room. She's just asking, how are you learning everything that you're learning from farmers, from books, trial and error? So part of your story is that you started very small and now you actually used the word big at one point, and then you caught yourself and said maximum, which was a nice catch. But so you're learning all the time. So just talk a little bit about that.
Yes, I'm blown away with all of the new resources that have been coming out, even just in the last 3 to 5 years, on the small farm network, the paper pot co, that orange tool that helps me transplant my onions and other things into the field is a Japanese invention, and you couldn't even import that into the country like 10 years ago. So just all of these innovative small tools are so cool. And I would say I'm mostly learning from podcasts and books and the internet. I consume a lot of information, and then we do try to do 2 or 3 new things a year, and not get too big and excited about them. For instance, this year we're going to put some ginger in our new greenhouse. So we have 20 pounds or so of ginger sprouts that we've been babying along for the last month and a half. And we're looking forward to being able to grow ginger, which is a really tropical plant here in the cold. And there's so many things like that you can just learn from all kinds of different places. Oh, we also did spend time on other small farms when we were raft guiding in Ohio, West Virginia, Kentucky, Tennessee, California. So we've seen a lot of different models, that gave us the confidence to start where we did.
Hey, I realized I missed a question earlier from James Duncan in Boulder. He was asking about might there be demand for your garlic from chefs in Boulder? I'm not sure what prompted him to ask just about Boulder, so that's his question. And then I want to sort of expand the question a little bit to when you said maximum before, when you kind of made that little mention. So are you you're comfortably selling everything that I think implied in that comment is you're comfortably selling everything that you're growing right in the Salida area. Is that true?
Yes, primarily. You have to keep approximately 30% of your crop for replanting next year. And then we did have some loss last season from, if you're gardeners, you're familiar with the cutworm. And so we lost, let's say 20% of our crop to that. So hopefully we will not have that issue this year. Things are looking much better. We are hoping to have basically 2 field sections for the garlic, each about a ½ acre in size, so that we can do a cover crop on one section and the garlic in the other, and then rotate back in between the 2. So that's what I mean by maximizing our space. And we do ship a little bit, but we have been selling pretty much everything here locally in Salida, Chaffee County.
And what about chefs in Salida? Are you working with any restaurants?
I am not. Most chefs get their garlic already peeled. So it's in a big bag or jar already. I have considered purchasing the tool or machine that will peel the garlic for me. We just haven't had any extra, so we haven't done that yet, but.
Got it. Let's see. John Brown asked a question in the chat room about temperature swings in the greenhouse. Kind of an interesting. What is the range of temperatures in the greenhouse? I don't know if he's asking on a daily basis in the winter or exactly what was behind the question, but just say a little bit about that.
Sure. So the thermal mass of the water barrels does a really nice job of helping to hold the building close to 55 degrees. Obviously gets warmer than that in the summer. We had some mid 90-degree days this last year, and the hoop house or the greenhouse stayed, I want to say around 82, with the kind of cool air flowing through and the barrels. And then over the winter, we had a negative 20-degree morning, and the greenhouse got down to 32 degrees. So that's what, 50 some degrees warmer than the outside temperature. So we were really happy with that. And the spinach and everything was just fine.
Well, we're almost at the 1 hour mark exactly. Any other questions? I think I got everything. Oh, there is a question from Cindy Reinhardt, but I think it's kind of a local-ish question about expanding the SOIL Sangre de Cristo membership, to more farmers in the San Luis Valley. But I think that would be a boring conversation for the people who don't know the geography. But I'll just raise it. Well, go ahead. You want to say something about it, Tiffany?
I was going to say that we definitely, as a board member for SOIL Sangre de Cristo, we have done quite a bit of reaching out and marketing or advertising this new model in that area, and haven't had a ton of interest. So maybe we're still just getting the word out, and people will hear about it. Maybe the farms are really big and they're not interested in a small loan. I'm not quite sure what the hang up is there, but we are, Cindy, we're definitely interested in that region.
Yeah, I mean, this is just a question of geography that every soil group was going to have to deal with. And when I was talking to the folks in Montana, which is quite a large state, and everyone, I mean, John, you can tell me how far apart the people on that call actually were, but I'm guessing, hundreds of miles from the people on that call who were the furthest apart from one another might have been 250 or 300 miles apart. I'm just guessing.
Oh yeah, easily.
Yeah, yeah. Or more. Yeah. So it's an obvious question of when you're dealing with a much more rural area, how far of a reach can you have for a group that is built upon people getting together in some form? You can use technology like this in some ways, and it's actually wonderful to use it the way we're using it, but it's no substitute for people getting together in person, which is actually a good segue for me. Since we're on the hour, I'll wrap things up, but I wanted to say, I think most people on this, or hopefully many people on the call, saw the piece that we distributed a few weeks ago called "A Call to Farms." I'm just curious, how many people on here know what I'm talking about? No, how many people here did not see the piece, did not get an email about a call to farms? If you did not get that email, raise your hand. I only see 12 people. So only one. Okay, it's good. So most people got it. Cindy, I'll try to remember to send it to you. But I'm mentioning it because I think it's reasonably likely at this point that we're going to be putting together a larger event. I don't know what that means in terms of scale, probably for September, called a call to farms. That will be a combination of national Zoom and local meetings. And it's still in the brainstorming stage, but the piece stirred up quite a bit of energy. And just because I made the comment about Zoom and getting together, I figured I'd put a little meat on the bones there and say, you know, trying to use technology in a very positive way, but then not have it can't substitute for face-to-face, you know, local relationships, obviously. So that's a constant challenge. I guess I would just say as a wrap-up event, I've been talking to a lot of people this week because of the call to farms piece. And, you know, you can despair, you can deny, or you can grow garlic. But you can put that on a bumper sticker.
I like it.
But I want 10%.
Okay.
But I'm saying that because while I was having the conversations with everyone about a call to farms and this, that, and the other thing, and about peace movement and the food movement and whatnot, I caught a story on BBC about climate scientists, a few climate scientists from NASA but in California, who had chained themselves to the door of JP Morgan Chase in LA. And I had missed the story when it happened. So it happened about 2 weeks ago, and I didn't see the story at that moment. And it just got picked up by BBC like yesterday. And so there was a thing on BBC radio. And so I tracked it down online this morning and kind of saw the story. And, you know, the gist of the story was that this, I think he's maybe 40 something, maybe a 45-year-old climate scientist, said, you know, after about 10 years, he'd been mulling doing some kind of civil disobedience. He was just so frustrated at the lack of real urgent action, despite the science being so, you know, I mean, he's dealing with the science every day. And he just said he finally did it and got arrested, and what a liberating experience it was for him to finally act out his sense of urgency in that way. And I'm sure you will forgive me, given my work on what we're doing, to always think about how it sort of relates to that. And, you know, we just have an opportunity to do something, or we are doing something so positive. It is so, it's like the opposite of that. Not that that's bad. Civil disobedience, there's a time and a place for civil disobedience, 100%. But I guess I believe there are a lot more times and a lot more places for what we're doing. Meaning, this is the everyday work of building an alternative economy, of building a peaceful economy. It's just so important to stick with it. So I want to thank you all for you know, coming to these Beetcoin dialogues. You know, this has been an experiment, doing these every 2 weeks. That's kind of a lot. They've been going great. So I've made a lot of new friends and whatnot. So thank you all for doing it. We're going to keep going. And I wanted you I just want to plant the seed, if I can be forgiven for saying that, about this idea of a call to farms event in the fall. So you'll be hearing more about it as I think it through and make a decision about whether to go for it or not. If we do it, there'll be a whole bunch of other people participating in it, other NGOs, both domestic and maybe international possibly. And but we'll see. I'm going to kind of feel it out, and we'll keep you posted on that. And maybe we'll recirculate that piece again before long, just because it got so much response. And obviously everyone doesn't get everything from one email. So we'll probably just resend it out soon. So thank you all for coming tonight. We'll see you again in a couple of weeks. And if anything is coming up in the meantime, you can reach me at woody@slowmoney.org. So PJ and Tiffany, thank you so much.
Woody, excuse me, Tiffany wants to say one more thing.
Oh,
Tiffany's got one last thing to
absolutely.
say.
I was going to do a plug for our second in-person event. If we've got any local listeners here, we're hosting a happy hour at Vino Salida on May 12th. Just kind of a meet and greet and to celebrate local food and where we're at and the turning of the seasons.
All right.
Woody, thank you so much.
I think we have to say peace nowadays when we're signing off instead of ciao. So peace. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks so much.